Well, welcome back to the Baseball Head. I wanted to do this video on Mets legendary manager Davey Johnson, who passed away on Saturday. Uh, Now, he was a player and a baseball man that was in the game for a long time, for almost over 40 years, close to 50 years. He has left a mark here with the Mets. He was the manager of the Mets in 1986, but more importantly, he led the Mets when the Mets were prior to they were bad before he got here, and then you look at him and you think of excellence, you think of winning, and a grittiness and a toughness. The toughness with that Mets team came from him, amongst many other players that played on that team. But he was the manager here for quite a few years. The manager that won over 100 games 2 times. Every year from 1984 to 1988 and 88. From 84 to 88, they win over 90 games. That is a run of excellence the Mets have never had before that, and they've not had that since then. Consistently good, and if we had the wild card, like we've had the last 30 years, he would have been in the postseason every single year, even 1989. Now, I'm going to read a couple of statements from the Mets that they put out, which talks about him as a player and really as a man and really as a manager. This is from the Alex and Steve Cohen. We deeply saddened to learn of the passing of Davey Johnson. Davey's 595 wins remains the most in franchise history, and his legacy is highlighted by him leading the Mets in 1986 to the World Series championship. He led with quiet confidence and unwavering belief in his team, always caring deeply for his players both on and off the field. He had a distinguished 13-year playing career, including winning 2 World Series titles with the Orioles. On behalf of our entire organization, we extend our heartfelt condolences to Davey's family, friends, and all who were impacted by his remarkable life and career. That's from Darryl Strawberry. And Darryl saw Davey last year. We've not heard the cause of death with Davey. I don't know if he was sick. But Darryl went to go see Davey last year, and it was a very nice moment. Quote, Davey Johnson was the greatest manager I ever played for. He let us do our own thing. This is a sad day for the Mets and for the 1986 Mets family. This is from Keith Hernandez. Without a doubt, he saved my career. He let me be myself in the field. He knew when to be tough and when to take it easier. It was a joy playing for him. And Keith mentioned during the game on the broadcast, Mets versus the Reds, that he made a good play, and Davey went up to him and said that was a great play. And just little things like that made players feel good. Made him feel good. This is from Mookie Wilson. He was just a player's manager. He made it fun to go on the field. He laid down the law when needed, but other times he just let us play. This is from Dwight Gooden. He took a chance on me when I was 19. Davey wasn't afraid to make a tough decision. I know I wouldn't have had the career I did without him. From Ron Darling. Getting to the major leagues is tough. Succeeding in the major leagues is even harder. And to accomplish that, you need a guardian angel. Davey was my guardian angel. It's funny, Ron talked about him a few days ago, saying that he needed to go back to the same kind of wind-up that he had in college. And he said that changed his whole career. And it's funny that he mentioned Davey the other day. It's from Roger McDowell. Davey was really a forward thinker. He knew his players' strengths and weaknesses. He always set us up to have success as a team and individually. Our Met family has lost a quality man. Now, here's the thing about Davey. He's probably the first modern manager that used analytics and mathematics and the computer. I mean, if you're old enough to remember, he used the computer. I read a story earlier that when he was a player, that he would tell Earl Weaver, his manager, that some of the lineups they were using weren't the most successful. That he was going on the computer and he was doing that. So Davey early on, as a player, was very analytical, and he's really the very first analytics manager. He really was the first real modern manager, and for a long time, none of these other managers ever used the computer to do the lineups or to do anything like that. Now, Davey was a player, if you didn't know. and he played for the Orioles, and he was the last out in the 1969 World Series. Just going through his career, his wins above replacement, according to Baseball Reference, is 27.5. It's pretty good. 136 home runs. He hit 40 home runs in 1973 with the Braves, and he played with, at the time, Henry Aaron, Dusty Baker, Darrell Evans, and they all hit tons of home runs. And he drove 99 runs in. That was probably his best offense. That's his best offensive year. But he's more known for being with the Orioles and winning World Series championships. And like I said when I started doing this video, when you looked at Davey, you think you thought of championships, you thought of excellence, you thought of quality. And he's a great defensive second baseman. 3 Gold Gloves, it says here. And then he might be the first player in baseball to go over to Japan and be successful in Japan, and then come back here and be part of the game. So he was the first, really one of the first to go over there and then come back here. So this is a guy that when the Mets got him in here to be the manager, there was so much experience here, and to be around, and he was around so many different cultures. I mean, this is a very impressive guy. Extremely impressive. Extremely impressive. And seeing before he becomes manager, all this sort of knowledge and baseball acumen, and then you see him the first year when they win 90 games in 1984. It does help having Dwight Gooden, Sid Fernandez, Ron Darling in your rotation, but still has to put all the pieces together, and he had probably one of the best players in the game, and Keith Hernandez, and that makes just an enormous amount of difference. Let me just go through his statistics as a postseason player. Be interesting to see. But like I said, in 1969, he made the final out. Made the final out in the World Series in 1969. He had 0.63. He went 1 for 16 against that great pitching staff. But in 1970, they won the World Series. Davey had 2 home runs in that series. Wow. He played 3 games in the series. He went 4 for 11 with 2 home runs and 4 runs batted in. Wow, that's pretty damn good. That's pretty good. Oh, excuse me, that's in the ALCS. That's pretty good. And he went 2 for 16. 5 for 16 in the World Series. That's a pretty good postseason. And he hit 300 in 1971 against the A's. So he was really a winning player and a winning manager. And I mentioned this in other videos on the baseball too. He is a Hall of Fame manager, in my opinion. Okay. Just based on some of these things, it's almost like looking at Joe Torre as well. In the same way, Torre was one of these guys that was a great player, but not great enough to be in the Hall of Fame. Davey's a little below that as a Hall of Fame player, but as a manager, very important in terms of the analytics. Like I said, in terms of the winning, 562 winning percentage, and he took 4 different teams to postseason. The Mets, the Reds, Baltimore, and the Nationals. He took the Nationals to the postseason in 2012, I believe. 2012. They finished in first place, I think. Let's see here. But nevertheless, Davey was a great manager. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the 13 years 7 out of the 17 years he managed, the teams won over 90 games. He was the manager for Cal Ripken. Keep that in mind. This is a guy that is very impressive. And in my opinion, again, he should be in the Hall of Fame. His work with the Mets should get him in. And the only issue is that they only won 1 World Series, but that's not his fault. That happens. It happens sometimes, But to have winning records with every team he managed, he managed 5 teams, he had winning records with all 5 of them. Great. Uh, Baseball with the Mets is not the same without Davey, and unfortunately, he's passed away. But his legacy with the Mets is going to continue as long as we remember it, and of course, his players are still alive. He's now the seventh member of that Mets team that's passed away. Either it is a coach or a player. Now, I would mention, this is an odd kind of quirk about Davey. There are three players, three people in uniform that day that the Mets won in '86, and who also, when the Mets won in '69. Obviously, Davey made the final out in '69, and he was the manager of the Mets in '86. Buddy Harrelson was the shortstop on the '69 Mets, and he was also the third base coach in the '86 Mets. And finally, Tom Seaver. People forget that Tom was on the Red Sox. So Tom was the great player on the Mets in '69, and he was at the end of the line with the Red Sox on the disabled list, what they called it back then, with the Red Sox. So you have three people, very significant players, for both teams, played a major role in Mets history. Isn't that interesting? Well, let me know what you think about this video. It's a tough day, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.